Mr. Chairman, I rise to speak in support of this amendment to increase the number of federal contracts granted to small businesses by addressing a practice known as contract bundling, which has allowed federal agencies to award mega contracts, contracts so large they cannot possibly be performed by a small business. This amendment will ensure that more large contracts will be reviewed as to their appropriateness to be bundled and potentially broken into smaller pieces more suitable for small business. The goal: enhancing taxpayer savings by more efficient and effective use of our resources by helping the federal government meet its statutory goal of small business contracts, which it presently does not. Presently, the bill's current definition would permit too many large contracts to be exempted from a bundling analysis as to their appropriateness for access to small business. This amendment will help reduce these exemptions by eliminating the monetary threshold for non-construction federal contracts to be reviewed. Additionally, bundled contracts that, quote, substantially transform a good or service, referring to contracts that use new, innovative contract processes, are currently exempted from bundling analysis. This amendment would mandate that in such cases, measurable substantial benefits must be demonstrated to the government in terms of quality, performance, or price. If that cannot be shown, a bundling analysis must be completed. This amendment, by also explicitly requiring that a bundling analysis be performed for new work and construction contracts as opposed to just previously performed work, will also close a loophole that has been used by agencies to avoid unbundling contracts. Let me give you an example of why addressing contract bundling is important not just small businesses, but also to efficient and effective use of our nation's resources, particularly in new or transformational requirements that our federal agency increasingly contract for. Gestalt, a small business located in my district, recently competed in an Army contract, which they competed for against a very large defense corporation to fix a defense readiness reporting system. Right now, we have in the military a fairly arcane system where obtaining detailed, up-to-date, instantaneous information on the readiness of our military and its units is challenging at best. What was required was a much more dynamic system that could present in real time the readiness of our forces, in this case, the 5,000-plus Army units we have, which can greatly impact the commander's decision what has become a fast-paced, battle-space environment where speed of decision is so highly valued. The large defense corporation said it would take 3 years to complete the project, while the smaller firm, given access, then did it in only 7 months. From my time as a Vice Admiral responsible for executing the Navy's annual $67 billion worth of warfare requirements and programs, I know there is a tendency, because of ease of execution, to want to go to a large corporation and have them subcontract their bundled program to other vendors. The result, unfortunately, is particularly worrisome at a moment when we need to transform not just our military, but many of our other federally funded efforts. The speed and agility that a more entrepreneurial small businesses often can provide in a fast-paced, globalized, and continuously changing world are key to rapidly meeting new evolving requirements of our nation, particularly in such transformational areas as software and information technology. It is therefore inefficient and ineffective to our competitive edge to deny entrepreneurial small businesses direct access to the real requirements of the customer, the U.S. government. And it is also harmful to our interest to have large corporations bundle certain contracts so that only derived requirements are available to the subcontractors. These derived requirements having to be interpreted by sub-vendors or have it interpreted to them by the large corporation, a middleman, adding complexity, time, and misinterpretation rather than streamlining to the federal contracting process. In short, undue bundling of contracts costs the taxpayers money. More, this inefficiency leads to less effectiveness. By unbundling work requirements, this amendment will create new opportunities for small firms, expanding the government's access to more qualified contractors. Increased competition because of more fair access will lead to lower prices and to the improvement of the quality of goods and services procured by the federal government. I urge all my colleagues to support this critical amendment, not only for our nation's entrepreneurial small businesses, but for a more efficient and effective application of our nation's resources. And I reserve the balance of my time.